Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. I'd like to tell you a story today about my journey through generosity and the fact that I started tithing before I believed in God. So I married a woman who was a longtime Christian, and she kind of waited around for me to get there. And when we had children, I had decided that they needed to be able to make their own decisions about God. And the best way to do that would be for them to know about God through a religious organization. I was brought up Catholic, so I said, we'll go to church. And my wife being a Methodist, we ended up here. And so as part of this process, I decided in order to teach my children well, I needed to truly understand all of the processes and activities associated with being a Christian. So I did all the things you're supposed to do. I came to church, I learned to pray, I studied the Bible, we did Bible study together, all of those things. And that was going along pretty well. The one barrier, of course, was tithing. The idea of giving my money away to the church, I was really struggling with. Now, previous to all this, my wife had come to me and said, I need to start tithing again. And I said, what does that mean? She explained that she had to give 10% of her salary to the church. And I said, well, is that before or after taxes? Well, she assured me it was before taxes. And being the money that she earned, I really couldn't argue with her, so she started doing that. So as I was going through my process, I hit that little barrier saying, all right, it's time to start thinking about giving money to the church. So I started giving a little bit each week, and then I upped it a little bit and upped it a little bit. And as I continued to go through the process, one day I woke up, and I would get these things, still do, notions, I think, from God, that I had to tithe. So I walked into my wife and I said, Peg, I need to start tithing. She said to me, you remember it's before taxes? And I said, yes, I remember that. But I started doing that before I was actually a believer. And it was part of my journey. And as I continued on through our studies and in various activities, ultimately a number of events in my life led me to accept Christ into my life. And that was a wonderful thing. But for me, probably unlike a lot of people, I started tithing before I believed in God. And that part of the journey was very important to me because that manifested itself into a realization that giving is a joy and it's a gift. You get paid back so much more than you give out when you were generous. I was given God as part of that process. I also learned through my studies that as we're giving, we're not giving away our stuff. We don't own what we have, because God has given us those talents and those opportunities. And so basically we're stewards of God's money. And I run into that problem all the time with people. I was just talking to a good friend of mine the other day, and I was explaining I was going to be doing this video. And he asked me some questions, and I was explaining the tithe, and he says, wait a minute. He said, now you're telling me I have to give away part of my money to the church and part of my money to government through taxes? And I said, yeah, that's kind of the deal, but it's not your money. He says, what? I earned it. And I said, yeah, but it's really God's. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to finish that discussion, and I probably will at some point in the future. But my ultimate message to all of you is that giving and generosity is part of a gift from God, not a duty or an obligation that should be difficult. And I understand that when you first start doing that, it's a process that is probably stepwise and you need to do it slowly. But once you get there, it just brings joy to you. Thanks, guys.